Hello everyone, GoodraFTW for the win here, and welcome back to another Duel Links video. Today we are going to be going over the new mini box that was released yesterday as the time of recording this. It was probably more the night before last night, but I didn't really see it until yesterday. But it is Empire of Scarlet, and it's going to be the first mini box that is actually going to contain the new quantities. So if you're unfamiliar, they sent out an announcement the other day saying that mini boxes are now going to contain 100 packs with like so many different types. And now main boxes are going to have 180 packs. So they kind of took the 20 packs away from main boxes and added them to the mini boxes. And the reasoning behind it was to kind of balance the, how did they put it? Balance the cost of building a deck, because they realized that building a deck from a main box was a little too costly for most people. So they went ahead and tried to balance it a little bit. That way, buying from mini boxes wasn't really so much more appealing than main boxes. It still will be more appealing, and it'll still be easier to build decks out of mini boxes, but it'll be harder, and it'll vice versa. So, but this pack is going to contain the two big archetypes that are in this box are going to be vampires and insectors. Now, vampires, their main strategy, you pay life points to gain certain effects. And then there are some monsters that can steal opponents' monsters, so very vampire-esque. And the main strategy of insectors is equipping themselves to each other to give each other effects, and then removing equips to gain other effects. Now this deck, insectors, is actually pretty big. I want to say it was probably close to tier 1, maybe tier 2, but probably close to tier 1 back in its heyday. There's actually, if I'm not mistaken, there's still an Insector card on the ban list, and that's Dragonfly. So the deck was actually pretty good. It was pretty consistent. Did what it needed to do. But obviously, probably some of the bigger problems of the deck aren't really going to be here. But the vampire support we got in this is actually some of the new stuff that just released in the TCG, not last month now, but into June. I think it was in Dark Saviors. So the first of said vampire support is going to be Vampire Scarlet Scourge. So you normal summon him, pay 1,000 life points. Then you can target a vampire monster in your graveyard. Special summon it, can attack. At the end of a battle phase, if this card destroys a monster, you can put it on your side of the field. So then we have Interplanetary Purpley Thorny Dragon. So when a monster is destroyed by battle card effect and it's sent to the graveyard, special this from your hand. So a little more, a lot easier summoning conditions still coming around. I'm not sure if you guys are also aware of this, but some synchro stuff has been data mined in the files, so it's gonna be pretty soon. So here we have Insector Centipede. So once per turn, you can equip an Insector monster from your hand or graveyard to this card. If an equip is sent to your graveyard while equipped to this card, you can add one Insector card from your deck to your hand. While this card is equipped to a monster, that monster's level is increased by 3. So a lot of them, they kind of gain a particular characteristic of whatever Insector is equipped to them. So we have Hammer Bouncer. If your opponent controls a card and you control no cards, you can normal summon this card without tributing. If this card attacks an opponent's monster, as long as you control no spell or trap cards, your opponent cannot activate any spell or trap cards until the end of the damage step. Then we have Insector Gigamantis. You can target one face-up Insector monster you control, equip this card from your hand to that target. While this card is equipped to a monster, that monster's original attack becomes 2,400. If this card is sent to the graveyard while equipped to a monster, you can target one Insector monster in your graveyard except Gigamantis. Special summon that target. This effect of Gigamantis can only be used once per turn. Now we have another Monarch, so we're slowly getting more and more Monarch support. So we have Zaborg, the Thunder Monarch. If this card is tribute summoned, target one monster on the field, destroy that target. We have OG, real classic card. I remember this card very vividly from my childhood. Wall of Illusion. If this card is attacked by a monster after damage calculation, return that monster to the hand. Then we have Mithra, the Thunder Vassal. If this card is in your hand, you can activate this effect. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn. Also, special summon this card, and if you do, special summon one Vassal token to your opponent's field in defense position. If this card is tributed for a tribute summon, you can activate this effect. You can tribute summon one monster during your main phase this turn, in addition to your normal summon set this turn. You can only use each effect once per turn. So this is another new Vampire card that came out with the new Vampire support, and this is Vampire Retainer. If it's special, you pay 500 life points, add a Vampire spell or trap from your deck to your hand. If this card is in your graveyard, you can send a Vampire card from your hand or on the field to the graveyard, special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. So it does have a way to special summon itself from the grave as long as you can put it in the grave. Then we have another new Vampire card, Vampire Familiar. If this card is specialed, so this is basically the same as Retainer, but it searches a monster instead of a spell or trap. But everything else is pretty much the same. The attack is obviously a lot smaller, but it is what it is. We have Bashing Shield, equip only to a normal summoned or set monster. It gains 1,000 attack. You take no battle damage from attacks involving it. Flash of the Forbidden Spell, activate only when all of your opponent's monster card zones are occupied by monsters. Destroy all monsters on your opponent's side of the field. Now, I feel like this card would actually be a lot better if it were a quick play spell. But it's not, so... here we have the field spell for the vampires, Vampire Kingdom. Zombie-type monsters gain 500 attack during damage calculation only. Once per turn, when a card is sent from your opponent's deck to the graveyard, target one card on the field. Send one vampire monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and if you do, destroy that target. Okay, never mind. I was confused. Moving on. Here's Vampire Vamp. This is actually, I think it's an older card. Not too old, I think. GX era, maybe. But once per turn, when this card or vampire monster is normal summoned to your side of the field, except Vampire Orcus or Vampire Koala, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls whose attack is higher than this card's. Equip it to this card. This card gains attack equal to the combined original attack of the monsters equipped to it by this effect. If this card is sent to the graveyard while equipped with a card by this effect, special summon this card from the graveyard. So, zombies are usually pretty synonymous for specialing themselves from the grave, so not a big surprise there. Here we have Cyber Ogre. By discarding this card from your hand to the graveyard, negate one battle involving a Cyber Ogre on your side of the field, and it gains 2,000 attack until the end of its next battle. This effect can be activated during either player's turn. Whoa! Cyber Ogres! OG hand traps! Still garbage. Hane. So this is a better Hane. Flip to return up to 3 monsters on the field to the owner's hand. Goblin Decoy Squad. When it inflicts battle damage, you draw a card. If it attacks, it's changed to defense, and it can't be changed until the end of your next turn except by card effect. Here we have Insector Hopper. Once per turn, equip an Insector monster from hand or grave to this card. While this is equipped, increase the monster's level by 4. While this card is equipped to a monster, you can send this equipped card to the graveyard. The monster it was equipped to can attack your opponent directly this turn. Other monsters cannot attack the turn you activate this effect. So if you're somehow able to pump up an Insector monster pretty easily, you could pretty much OTK. I feel like that was probably the strategy here. Moonlit Papillon. When this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special one level 4 or lower Butter Spy monster from your deck. Naturia Horn Needle. When your opponent special summons a monster, you can tribute one face-up Naturia monster you control, except this card to destroy the special summon monster. Well. Swallowtail Butter Spy. When another monster you control inflicts battle damage to your opponent, target one face-up monster your opponent controls. It loses attack equal to the battle damage inflicted. Cyber Ogre 2. A fusion summon of this monster can only be conducted with the above fusion material monsters. When this card attacks, it gains attack equal to half the attack of the attack target during damage calculation only. So very similar to no, that's not how Elemental Hero Gaia works. Speaking of which, he's been data mined to be in the next main box, so that's pretty cool. Speaking of heroes, we got Necroid Shaman. So this is Wildheart and Necroshade. While this card is special, when this card is special summon, target a monster your opponent controls, destroy it. Then special summon one monster from your opponent's graveyard to their side of the field. So a little bit of a trade. So we got Berserk Scales. Target one face-up monster you control. It gains 1,000 attack. Also, it cannot attack your opponent directly for the rest of the turn. During the end phase, it loses 2,000 attack. Dear goodness. Inzektor Sword. Zexcalibur. Wow, that's a stretch and a half. Equip only to an Inzektor, gains 800 attack and defense. While in this card, when this face-up card on the field is sent to the graveyard, target an Inzektor monster in your graveyard, add that target to your hand. Pyramid of Wonders. Another zombie support card. All zombie type monsters you control gain 200 attack for each monster your opponent controls. If exactly one zombie type monster you control would be destroyed, you can send this card to the graveyard instead. Vampire's Desire. This is another new card, and actually there was an awesome looking playmat with this art on it, and it looks not in this game, like in real life, and I wish I could have it, but unfortunately I cannot. So you activate one of these effects, target a face-up monster you control, send a vampire monster from your deck to the graveyard with a different level from that monster. If you do, the targeted monster becomes the level of that sent monster in the graveyard until the end of this turn. Target one vampire monster in your graveyard, send one monster you control to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon the targeted monster. So, Cyber Shadow Gardener. This is another trap monster. Does it have... if this card is selected as an attack target, the attack and defense of this card become the attack and defense of the attacking monster. This card is set in its spell and trap card zone during your opponent's end phase. Okay, so it's just a blocker. That's pretty cool. Inzektor Orb. Target one face-up Inzektor monster you control. Equip this card to that target. It gains 500 attack and defense. When exactly one Inzektor monster you control is targeted by a card effect, you can send this equipped card to the target to the graveyard and negate that effect. Sorry. Did this... Okay, so that's kind of broken because it doesn't have to be... Oh, you have to activate only during your opponent's main phase. Okay. But still, you got a blocker for a good while. Alright, I feel like this might be new as well. If you have no card in your field zone and all face-up monsters you control with a minimum or one are zombie type, activate one Vampire Kingdom directly from your deck. Then you can special summon one Dark Vampire monster from your graveyard in face-up defense position. You can only activate one Vampire Takeover per turn. So it's a good way to get your field spell out on the board, which... since there's no terraforming, there's real no way to search it, so this is actually a pretty good, almost better than a search, because not only does it search it, it also activates it, places it on the field, and then you can special summon, so it's actually pretty decent card. Here we have Dead Scythe Harvester. Attribute an insect monster to have this card gain 500 attack until the end of this turn. Holy crap, that's garbage. Greed Quasar. This card's original attack and defense are each equal to its level times 300. This monster's level is increased by the level of monsters it destroys by battle. So, one really interesting ruling question. Can this card go above level 12? Asking for a friend. Phantom Bouncer. If this card on the field is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can add 2 Bouncer cards from your deck to your hand. Inzektor Giga Cricket. If this card is in your graveyard, you can banish one insect type monster from your graveyard to target on face-up Inzektor monster you control. Equip this card from the graveyard to that target. This effect can only be used once per turn. While this card is equipped to a monster, that monster's original attack becomes 2,000, and if it attacks a defense position, inflict piercing. Alright, pretty cool. I feel like this is another new vampire card. It's a Vampire Grimson. If a monster you control would be destroyed by battle, or an opponent's card effect, you can pay 1,000 life points for each monster that would be destroyed instead. So you have to protect all of the monsters that would be destroyed, so you have to pay as many life points as that. So at the end of the battle phase, if this card destroyed any monster by battle, you can special summon them from the graveyards to your field. From the graveyards, plural. Okay. Interesting. Blade Bouncer. Once per turn, if this card attacks and your opponent controls a monster at the end of the damage step, you can discard a card. This card can attack an opponent's monster once again during this battle phase. Alright, interesting. Here's Earwig. While it's equipped to a monster, it gains attack and defense equal to this card's. When it's sent to the graveyard, the monster this card was equipped to gains 1,000 attack until the end phase. So it just gets to keep its attack around for a little longer. Morpho Butter Spy. Once per turn, when the battle position of an opponent's monster is changed, you can target one of those monsters. It loses 1,000 attack and defense. Notorious Spider Fang. This card cannot declare an attack unless your opponent activated a spell, trap, or monster effect. Alright, so that's a decent way to keep a 2100 attack monster at bay. That's not too bad. Notoria White Oak. When this card is targeted by an opponent's card effect, you can send this face-up card you control to the graveyard to special summon 2 level 4 or lower Notoria monsters from your deck. They cannot declare an attack and are destroyed during your end phase. So as a... I mean, this would be much better if there were Synchros and Xyz monsters. But... Alright. Anyways. Insector Ant. Once per turn, you can equip one Insector monster from your hand or graveyard to this card. It's equipped to a monster, its levels increased by 3, and it gains attack equal to this card's. If it would be destroyed, you can destroy this equipped card instead. Ladybug does what? Target a face-up monster you control, increase that target's level by 2, so kind of sucks. Witch's Apprentice, as long as this card remains face-up on the field, increase the attack of all dark monsters by 500 points, and increase the attack of all light monsters by 400 points. Crossbreed, banish 2 monsters from your hand and or face-up field with the same original type and attribute but different names. Add 1 monster with the same original type and attribute as those monsters but a different name. What? Alright, I think this is actually a new card. I think this just came out. Extranet. If a monster is special summoned from the extra deck, the opponent of the player that conducted the special summon can apply this effect. The opponent of the player that conducted the special summon can apply this effect. What? What? I don't get it. I guess it's like... So if... Okay, yeah. So basically, Max C. I guess. I don't know, that's weird. I don't know. Final Insection. Send 5 face-up Insector cards you control to the graveyard. Destroy all cards your opponent controls. Also, during the battle phase of this turn, your opponent cannot activate monster effects that activate in the hand or graveyard. This would be much better if the field size wasn't limited. Because if you send 5 face-up Insector cards, that means you have to have 3 monsters on board plus 2 equips. And then you have to activate this card with the open spot. So that's Vampire's Domain. I feel like this is also a new vampire card. Once per turn, pay 500. You can do another normal summon for a vampire monster. Each time your vampire monster inflicts battle damage to your opponent, gain the same amount of life points. So this is a good way to kind of just gain more life points back, because you do have to pay a lot of life points with the vampire strategy. So here we have Byroad Sacrifice. Okay. I can speak, I promise. Activate only if a monster on your side of the field is destroyed by battle. Special summon 1 Cyber Ogre from your hand. Oh, wow. That is a slow card and very specific. Pulling the Rug. Negate the activation and effect of an effect monster whose effect activated when a monster was normal summoned, even itself, and destroy that effect monster. Alright, that's very specific as well. Probably not going to be very useful. Variable Form. Once per turn, you can activate one of these effects. Target 2 face-up Insector monsters you control. Equip one to the other. Target 1 Insector monster you control that is an equipped card. Special summon that target in face-up defense. And then we're back to the top. So, in my honest opinion, I do not believe that this box is really all that worth going in for. Just right out the gate, that's just my initial impression. Vampires, they seem like they're going to be pretty fun to play. But as far as how viable they'll be, I'm not sure if they can keep up with decks such as Fur Hire. Inzectors might be okay, but I think they're missing some of their better cards to really do too much. And there really wasn't a lot of great cards in here, just that you can splash in. Interplanetary Purpley Thorny Dragon, it might be decent as like a one-of that you could just put in a deck that doesn't really need, that just has extra space for some reason. But like I said, for the most part, I don't really think a lot of these cards are going to be all that useful. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not seeing something, but that's just how I feel. So, let me know what you guys think. If you agree with me, maybe you don't. We'll agree to disagree. Let me know down below. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.